Right, still on the basics, and this time the next method I'm going to focus on is probably my favourite, nearly my favourite. They're just a bit softer than my favourite, and that is soft pellet fishing, which, you know, massively popular. Again, pretty much a winter method for me. I mean, a little bit in the shallower water in the summer months, but mainly winter method for approaching deeper water for F1 skin bobs and occasional carp. Soft pellet, the way to go. Just a standard, nice, easy way of fishing, isn't it? And again, as usual, as the name suggests, we're going to talk through all the basics, starting with the riggy bit. So, and I like to keep this really simple, straightforward. Do you know what I mean? As this name suggests, the basics. Elastic, Andy's just caught a fish.
I need the net. I'm not setting my net up.
Take him the net. You can come and get it. Sorry, people. You can come and get it. There you go. The basics when it comes to soft pellet fishing. Elastic. Almost not worth going through. I mean, depends on the situation. I mean, for F1s, sort of an 8 to 10 sort of hybrid is my go-to. I may step her up a bit if I need something a bit more pokier. It is a few carp involved, or maybe even a little bit lighter if it's just skimmers. But I mean, match your elastic to the type of fishing, type of venue that you're on. Mainline during the winter months, a little bit more delicate. Yeah, in this case, summer months I'd happily go to sort of 017, 019. Winter months I like something a little bit thinner. And this is sort of 015, 016 mainline. Just doesn't get affected by the wind quite as much. I think that makes a difference because everything's so sensitive and so delicate. So a slightly lighter mainline gets still robust. Works lovely during the winter. Float-wise, really sensible, standard type of float. For my soft pellet fishing, yeah, I like always slim rugby ball style floats, as long as I'm fishing up to sort of 6 or 7 foot. I'll talk about that a bit more in a minute, with wire stems. I mean, this type of fishing is all about stability, keeping things tight, keeping things as accurate as possible. A wire stem just aids stability of my rig, keeps my trap, if you like, lovely and set as tight as it can possibly be. Bristle-wise, same again, we don't need to go too delicate, but anywhere from a 1.2 to a 2 mil hollow bristle is going to be perfect for your soft pellet. So you've not got to look into that too much because you've got big shots at the bottom end. This I'll explain in a minute. So I've got my fine-tuning shot there. That's the shot I put on once I've plumbed up to mark my depth. I always have that little fine tuner just under my float. That in turn, as I say, marks my depth, but also I can take that on and off, add more to it just to get my bristle exactly how I want it. And the shot in for soft pellets, really simple. So in most cases, I'm going to show you like this. I'm going to keep it on my thing. So what I'm after is a string of shot in the bottom third of my rig. So depending on the size of float and the depth, that's how far my shotting goes. So when it comes to sizes of float, really simple rule of thumb, I use pretty much 3 different sizes of float for most sort of snake legs up to about 7 foot. And what I do with my 3 different floats, I have a 4x12s, which I'll use from probably 2 foot, 2.5 foot to 3.5 foot during the winter months. From 3.5 to possibly 5 foot, I'm going to use a 4.14s, and then a 5 foot to 7 foot, I'm going to use a 4.16s. So in today's case, I've got about 6.5 foot, so I've got a 4.16s on. And shot in as well, like with the 3 floats, 4.12s, 4.14s, 4.16s, I've just told you the depths I'm going to fish. I shot them with pretty much one size of shot on each one. So a 4x12s will be shotted with 10s, a 4x14s will be shotted with 9s, and a 4x16s in this case is shotted with 8s. So I simply have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 number 8s. For mine, this is what they take. I mean, all floats can be a little bit flexible in the shotting, but I like them big shot. And to get me bristle right, as I've said, I've got my fine tuners underneath. They're my messing about ones to get my bristle exactly how I want it. But you see the bottom there, as I said, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm actually telling lies, I've got number 10 at the top. But again, that was just to get my shot in because it couldn't take another number 8. But that simple style of shotting, just spread out. So 4x16s, I've got them shotted probably every 3 inches there, all the way down to create a nice curve, to make it nice and stable, to show my bites up by having this great big shot as close as possible to the hook, just on top of me, nice short hook length, 4-inch hook length in that case, and I've got a number 8 right above it. Because the fish is going to dislodge that number 8, it's going to show a lovely bite. That's what your soft pellet fishing is all about. Because when you're feeding it, be it with a sprinkle pot or a normal pot that I'll go on to in a minute, it's a very tight area you're feeding in. And as a result, the fish aren't moving very quickly through your peg. I mean, they're very condensed and they're just staying in one little spot. So because of that, your bites can be very poor or very little indications unless you magnify it by having these big shot. I I mean, a little tiny shot, a 12 or a 13, just simply wouldn't show the bite up because the fish aren't moving very far to actually pull your rig under. So by having a great big shot, close as possible to the hook, it just makes them bites a little bit more visible, a bit more magnified. So yes, in today's case, 4x16s, nice and simple. Always this spreading through the bottom third of your rig. So with a 414s, it'd be a bit more condensed. A 4x12s, a bit more condensed again because you're reducing the depth that you're fishing in. So lastly, hook-wise, again, no fannying about whatsoever on this. Hook length, I'll have a 010 or 012, depending on how many carp are involved. So at this time of year, probably 010 9 times out of 10. And then hook-wise, again, very similar to the dobbin video that I did, that these days when it comes to soft pellet fishing, I'd rather err on the larger size of hooks. I mean, I still don't drop down anything below an 18. I like decent size hooks because the bait that you're using, it's a decent size hook bait and expander pellet that we'll talk about in a minute. It's going to cover a decent 18 or a 16 hook up relatively easy. It's hidden in the bait, it's not obtrusive. And if anything, the weight of the hook actually benefits. So the bigger hook you can use while still maintaining it being hidden in your bait actually benefits you by having a bit more metal in the bottom, keeping your bait where I want it. So in this case, I've got a nice 18 on. So standard medium gauge wire, 18 hook, beautiful for pellet fishing. So that's pretty much it. Rig wise, we is ready and good to go. So next up, I have a little babble about bait. As it suggests, fishing soft pellets, it's all about soft pellets, funnily enough. And the go-to bait for 9 out of 10 occasions is softened micro pellets. They're really, really simple to prepare. Literally, put them in your tub, just cover them in water, and I'd say I've very rarely these days come across a poor pellet. In that 9 times out of 10, you can just cover your pellets, leave them, put the lid on, go fishing. As soon as you open them on the bank, give them a bit of a shake, and you're going to have nice, uniform, soft pellets that are lovely for feeding. So soft pellets go hand in hand with using expanders on the hook. If I'm going to use expanders, then I'll pretty much always have a nice softened up feed pellet. And as I say, that's what they are, good to go. Secondly, I've got my expanders. Yeah, I'm not going to go into preparing these. That's going to be a whole video in itself. But for today's session, I've got some 2 mils and I've got some formal expanders. I mean, standard expander pellets, nothing fancy. What they do is nice and softened up, ready to go. All I've got to do is give them a squeeze, make sure they sink, whack them on the hook, and we are good to go. Nice and really, really simple bait that costs what? Flipping out, there must be about 10p's worth of bait there that I can still have a lovely session with. So, bait done, nice and simple, good to go. And I'm on to plumbing up next before I show you about feeding. Right, so quickly, plumbing up, and I want a decent plummet on this. So I've got a 20 gram plummet, lovely flat base, so it's gonna keep things as sexy as possible. And what I need, because I'm on about those fish not moving through my peg very much, staying very, very tightly located sort of thing. Let me put my goggles on so I can see. Is I want to plumb up to dead depth. So I'm going to go to my spot, which I found just on the end of this weed bed. And I'm going to hold my plummet out the water there nice and see how it stops swinging. It's all stayed nice and still. And then I want to lower it down on a lovely straight line. Yeah, you can see there, beautiful, where I've chosen to fish, right in line with that little stick that's sticking out. You can see there I've got a lovely little flat spot that's the middle of my body. Yeah, I'm not plumbing up to this, to dead depth, which would be like sort of down here. Yeah, I'm plumbing up to the middle of my body, which in turn lets that lovely curve be created and allows the bait to anchor on the bottom. So it keeps things as tight as it possibly can without or eliminating the risk of my rig moving too much, because I'm perfectly dead depth. I don't want that. I want this last little bit of line to just have a slight curve in it, just to help my bait stay where I want it. So really, really, really simple, good to go. So next up, and the last bit, is the feeding. And it's about having options. So it's a very limited bait, micro pellets, to feed anyway, and the way you can get them to go in. So you only really have 2 options. What it comes down to is the lid on your pot. So I have 2 different pots. So I try and have 2 different lids on my pot. I have a sprinkle lid, and then I have a blobbing in lid sort of thing, a bit of a rim sort of lid. Yeah, and what the 2 things give me, behave children, is that the lid with the rim just allows me to feed loose pellets, and I can put them in one hit. Yeah, and secondly, the sprinkle pot does as what it says. If I want, I can use this as a bit of an attraction thing, fill it up, just tap a few pellets in at a time. It's great for bringing fish into your swim. I mean, if nothing's happening, then the sprinkle lid's definitely the way to go. Just keep dripping a little bit of bait, grab that fish attention to bring it into your peg. Whereas once they're in your peg, I mean, using a rim or even no lid at all, that can be a great option. And what you can do, you just clump in a nice little lump of pellets that are going to immediately fall into the water. Get a nice hit down onto the bottom, get down as quickly as possible and keep things nice and tight if the fish are already present in your peg. And what it's a case of is skipping between the two just to work out what's going on in your swim. So what I'll often do is start with a little pile, then move to introducing a sprinkle pot to draw a few fish into my peg. Once they're there, go back to my pile, and I'll keep repeating the process sort of thing. I mean, when there's nothing there, go back to the sprinkle lid and just keep repeating that, attracting them in as and when you need to. So I'm going to try and catch a quick one just to show you what's going on. So, got my expander on, in this case a nice 4mm. So we're fishing for some carp in this case, so I don't want a too little expander. I want them to be able to see what's going on. The rollers aren't very well positioned today. And in my peg, the deeper water was to my right. That I found when I plumbed up, so that's the way my bait's going to go. Always towards the deeper water first. Find me spot. Before my rig even gets in, I'm literally going to tap all of them pellets in to put the trap on the bottom straight away. And I'm going to see what's in my peg. So by putting the trap in first, what it does, it hopefully eliminates liners and stops them fish getting excited by bait falling through the water all the time. It gives me a better chance of getting a nice clean bite. Whereas if I were to sprinkle immediately and there's already fish present, what tends to happen is you get a few liners, you foul hook a few fish, it makes a mess of your peg. So what I'm going to do is use the lids of my pot, the different ways of feeding, to respond to whatever the fish are doing in my swim. So after a little wait, over that first initial trap, we got one. And this is that lovely winter type fish that we're after. A nice little stocky F1. Oh, somebody has stolen my landing net.
Nobody likes to see stolen landing net handles. Thank
Well,
you very much
two-
for long,
two-
Jamie.
two-
Got it for you.
You better add it, it's a two-man job, this one. Look at him, beautiful. He's a little carp. Beautiful, beautiful little carp. Perfect example, see, 10 out of 10. Right in the top lip, because I'm seeing them bites as quickly as they possibly happen. But that is the perfect example of what we're catching with soft pellets. So give that a go. Hope it improves your soft pellet fishing.
Right then, Jamie of the Showers with your white trainees on. You've got 30 seconds to tell us all about the winning ways channel memberships. Go!
Well, we have a basic package, which basically includes a live match every month and also a Q&A where we get to watch you getting drunk and me drinking lots of water and needing a wee very, very
drunk, I never
quickly.
drink.
And then we also
10.
have an all-in package where you can pretty much get all of that, plus you get all the back catalogue stuff. and lots more to keep everyone happy.
Got
Lots
10
and lots
seconds.
of
Got
fishing
10
content.
seconds. Go on, keep talking. You got
I
10
thought I
seconds.
only had 10 left, I'm nearly done.
Come on,
It's
keep
just dead
going,
good.
Jay, lad.
It's just dead good. Loads of videos, me informative, him being a bell end. It's amazing.
2, 1. We're going!